Just over 2 weeks have passed since I started using the Samsung Galaxy S3. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and I'm using the AT&T version with a nifty little flip case as well right now. I'm day 15 into a 30-day challenge with this popular Android smartphone, and I started with the international version. I've had the AT&T ones for a few days. The embargo lifted this morning at 12:01 a.m. Eastern, so now I can talk about it. I've had my SIM card in this one for a couple of days now, and it's day 15 of the 30-day challenge. I can tell you the AT&T version, the benefits are a couple of things. First of all, 4G LTE capabilities, which do really come in handy when you're transferring pictures or doing things across the network, sending emails, downloading applications from Google Play, and more. Then you have the 2 gigabytes of RAM as well. The processor's a little bit different in this device. This one has a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU as opposed to the 1.4 gigahertz quad-core Exynos processor, which is in the international version. Now, the question I'm asked on a regular basis, or I shouldn't say regular, at least since 12:01 this morning, is which one is better, the international version or the AT&T version, and it really depends, at least in my usage, on what you do and what matters more to you. The 4G LTE on this device is really nice. I mean, I'm finding it really beneficial when it comes to doing anything that requires a network connection, basically. Sending pictures, doing anything on the internet, downloading apps from Google Play. The LTE is a noticeable difference, and it's really nice to get that support from AT&T. Now, the battery life isn't as good on this device with 4G LTE enabled. I'm getting about 11 to 13 hours with moderate to heavy use right now on the AT&T version. So that's something to keep in mind if you're debating between the two, and you're like, or any of the versions for that matter, and you're like, battery life's the most important thing to me, forget about the network, not really concerned about data speeds, I use Wi-Fi, whatever the case may be, the battery life is a little bit better on the international version. I was averaging anywhere from 15 to 17 hours on the international build with HSPA plus 21 megabits per second as opposed to 4G LTE. So that's something to keep in mind as well. The added RAM, 2 gigabytes of RAM on this device, a little bit of a different processor, but more RAM. I'll tell you this is what I'm finding with both of these devices, and it's very hard to explain on Twitter when people ask me. You look at the international version, you look at the US version. The US version seems to be a little bit faster, but it appears to be a little bit stuttery from time to time. Now, that is not intended at all to dissuade you. I still think this is the best Android smartphone that has come out in 2012. I do think it's better ever so slightly for the mainstream consumer than the HTC One series. The Evo 4G LTE, the One X, both great smartphones, even the One S, all great smartphones, but this one, in terms of overall usability and features across the board, I recommend this one to a greater number of people. I think they finally perfected Android, and it doesn't really feel like a nerdy science project. That's something I'm going to talk about in the full review when I write it for the Galaxy S3, but it doesn't feel like a science project anymore. It's finally a mainstream operating system that, with a user interface like TouchWiz, I feel like it's finally complete, or very, very close to being complete. So what I'll say about the US version, it's very fast, but appears to be a little stuttery from time to time. Every now and again I'll notice a little blip while it's loading a message or while I'm loading a web page. The international version, still very fast, it's just ever so slightly slower, but the transition effects make it perfect. So you'll notice on the international one, I can honestly tell you in like 8 or 9 days of using it as my personal device, I never saw a lag on the international version. Very fast, very fluid, the transition effects were very real, it worked really well. This one works great as well, but I do see that kind of jankiness or stutteriness, if you will, on the US version as opposed to the international build. So if you're like me, and I've told you this before on videos where fluidity matters a lot to me, the international version is ever so slightly more fluid. That said, the US version packs obviously some great things for US carriers like 4G LTE, a little bit more RAM, and then of course carrier support. So that's something to keep in mind as to which one's more important to you. Fluidity, the international version wins. LTE connectivity and just overall network enhancements, and a little bit of extra RAM as well, the US version wins. That's what I'm noticing. Like I said, battery life, a little bit less on this one, but to have that network connectivity is very nice. And you're still going to get the same things over on this device. The notification light, you're still going to get the same button at the bottom, the physical button, and then in this case I have the little flip case on it, which doubles up as the battery cover as well, and you can see it makes for a nice accessory. Now, Samsung has been clear to point out that these accessories work on the international version and on the US version. There's no difference in terms of size. It's not like the Galaxy S2, where there are like 18 different versions of the Galaxy S2. This initial Galaxy S3 launch, all the devices are the same. So if you get a flip case, it'll work in your international version, it'll work in your AT&T version. I have 2 US versions in the house, Sprint and AT&T, and both the battery covers work on the opposite device. So it's nice to see that accessory intercompatibility. Stay tuned for more. This is day 15. Coming up, more days with the Galaxy S3. I'm halfway through the challenge, loving it so far. A lot of great things about this device. You know, even though with LTE, battery life being ever so slightly less, I'm still really impressed, and in my opinion, this is still the best Android device on the market. Or I guess it's not on the market yet, but coming soon to the market on AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, US Cellular, and now C Spire. Stay tuned for more coverage on PhoneDog.com of the 30-day challenge. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. Ask me any questions you have about the international device versus the US device. Any questions about the AT&T version. I also have a Sprint version in-house. T-Mobile's on the way, as is Verizon. So stay tuned for more on PhoneDog.com reviews, dogfights, and parts of the 30-day challenge. Hit me up on Twitter. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. I'm not going to point at you. That's really mean. But Facebook.com/PhoneDog. You really should like us. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.